Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets. We've spent the week navigating, well, just a blizzard of sources. Everything from hardware aiming to be impossibly thin to critical quality of life updates on premium headphones and these massive, almost existential battles over AI, data ownership, and fundamental user privacy. It's a lot.
It really is. And our mission today, I think, is less about just reporting the newsfeed and more about connecting those dots that seem kind of unrelated at first glance. We're here to try and give you the signal, not just the noise, making sure you walk away with the most crucial nuggets of knowledge about how this rapidly evolving tech landscape actually impacts you.
Okay, right. Let's stop talking about the sources and actually dive into the tech you can hold. We got to start with the gadgets, the hardware, this endless race for mobile thinness and power.
Yeah, and the current headline grabber there is the Motorola Edge 70. It's aggressively positioning itself as a mid-range phone, which is interesting, but its design feels really flagship-worthy, boasting this incredible thinness of 5.99 millimeters. That puts it almost like right there with Apple's much-hyped upcoming 5.6 millimeter iPhone Air.
But hang on, why is everyone still chasing thinness? I mean, isn't battery life usually the first thing that gets sacrificed? Are they just prioritizing looks over actual usability?
That's always the tension, isn't it? Motorola is attempting a pretty tricky balance here. They still managed to pack in a powerful Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 chip, which is good, and a gorgeous 6.67-inch Super HD POLED display, plus rapid 68-watt wired charging. So some solid specs.
Okay, so where's the catch? There's got to be a catch to hit that thinness and that $799 price.
There's a small one, yeah, a little cheat, you could say. It features 3 camera cutouts on the back, looks like a triple camera setup. But if you look closely, only 2 are actually functional, a wide and an ultra wide. It's a very clever manufacturing trick, really, to keep that premium look without the full cost of 3 cameras.
Ah, clever. Okay, speaking of flagships then, let's talk Samsung. They have these astronomical ambitions for the Galaxy S26 Ultra. We're seeing projections for 35 million units sold. And apparently it's all going to be driven by next-gen AI features.
Oh, completely. They are betting the entire next generation on AI capabilities. But here's the big paradox we found digging through the sources. Despite all that AI hype, the S26 Ultra might use almost the exact same camera hardware as the S25 Ultra. Maybe, possibly, a slight upgrade to the 3x telephoto sensor, but that seems to be it.
Wait, really? So if the sensors, the hardware, are basically staying the same, why should anyone care about the S26 camera? Where's the actual leap forward going to come from?
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The true upgrade isn't physical glass and sensors, it's computational. It's all driven by the new Exynos 2600 chip. That chip is rumored to bring in features like 5-frame fusion HDR and a 14-bit raw pipeline.
Hold on, let's translate that. 14-bit raw pipeline. What does that actually mean for my average vacation photo? Does it make a real difference?
Oh, absolutely. It means vastly increased color depth and dynamic range. Think about it like this. The 14-bit RAW file captures exponentially more light and color information than your standard JPEG. So for you, the user, this translates into dramatically better performance in low light, much more accurate colors, and way more flexibility if you like to edit your photos later. Software is doing the heavy lifting now.
Software over sensors. Okay. That's a theme we're definitely going to see again. Let's pivot now to devices that enhance our personal space. Headphones. The Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra 2nd Gen is out, and the core identity seems totally intact. They're still arguably the most comfortable headphones you can buy.
Comfort is absolutely their superpower, yeah. Perfect if you're commuting all day or on a long flight. But what's really critical here is that Bose finally listened to the feedback. They fixed the 2 biggest sort of quality of life annoyances from the first generation.
I remember people complaining. Was it battery life and something about the cord?
Exactly. They bumped the battery life from 24 hours, which was okay, to a more standard 30 hours now. Much better. And crucially, they added support for wired passive playback. So the headphones actually work even if the battery dies, which is huge. And they now allow simultaneous USB-C audio streaming while charging. That's a game changer for anyone who spends hours plugged into a laptop, maybe traveling or working.
Okay, those are definitely welcome changes.
Yeah.
What about the noise cancellation, the ANC? Are they still the best, or has the competition finally caught up?
They're still absolutely top tier, no question. And the ability to finally adjust the ANC levels using the app is fantastic, really lets you dial it in. But yeah, the gap has narrowed significantly. Our sources suggest competitors, like maybe the Sony XM6s, might slightly edge them out now on pure silence, especially with high-pitched noises. So it looks like Bose made a trade-off. Maybe a tiny bit less absolute silence for unmatched comfort and these really important functional fixes.
That sounds like a smart trade-off for most people, I bet. Okay, now let's try and connect this reliance on, new tech comfort to the really intense legal and cultural battles over how this tech is actually being built. We have to talk about the escalating war between AI and artists. It feels like it's everywhere.
It really is boiling over. A prime example is Coca-Cola. They just released their second AI-generated holiday ad made by a group called Secret Level. Features all the classic stuff, polar bears, Santa, the trucks. And Coke's VP is out there saying their previous AI films performed exceptionally well with customers, especially when they didn't mention AI was used.
Right, but the creative community is, furious. We saw quotes from artists talking about the blood of out-of-work artists. The motivation for Coke seems pretty obvious, though. Cutting costs.
It's not just money, though. It's also speed and massive scalability. Generative AI promises to slash animation costs by, up to 90%. Think about that. A 90-second ad done in about a month with just 20 people, they're trading that painstaking traditional artistic depth for immediate, massive scale. And that's what's causing such intense backlash.
And this fight over using copyrighted material for training AI has reached the absolute highest levels of animation. We found this really powerful statement from CODI, the Content Overseas Distribution Association. They represent giants like Studio Ghibli and Square Enix.
Yeah, and they formally demanded OpenAI immediately stop using their copyrighted art to train models like Sora 2, the video generation 1. CODI's argument is legally really important here. They're saying the AI outputs look too much like recognizable Japanese content. And crucially, Japan's copyright system often requires prior permission to use works for training AI, not just an opt-out mechanism like some other places. They're arguing the infringement happens in the training data itself.
Wow. And you can't talk about Ghibli and AI without mentioning Hayao Miyazaki's stance. His condemnation is legendary. He reportedly finds AI utterly disgusting and an insult to life itself. That's pretty definitive.
It absolutely is a clear line in the sand. And this whole battle over artistic ownership ties directly into the debate about how AI labs get their training data in the first place. There's this serious accusation flying around about the Common Crawl Foundation. They archive huge amounts of web data and partner with major AI labs, Google, OpenAI, Meta.
Right. And the accusation is that Common Crawl is basically providing a back door to get paywalled content from places like the New York Times or Wired. Content they shouldn't have access to for training.
Common Crawl pushes back hard on that. They state their data only comes from publicly accessible web pages. But the really sticky detail, the thing that gives this whole situation gravity, is the immutability issue. Apparently, publishers have asked for their content to be removed from these archives, but the requests haven't been fulfilled because the archive file format has been meant to be immutable since way back in 2016.
Immutable. Okay, hold on. What does that actually mean practically for a publisher whose work is in there?
It essentially means that any AI model trained using that data set from 2016 onwards has permanently ingested that content. It's learned from it. So even if a publisher sues tomorrow and wins the legal right to have their content removed from the archive, the AI model itself has already learned from that data. That knowledge is baked in. It's a huge technical detail with colossal legal implications for ownership.
That sounds like an absolute nightmare for anyone who owns intellectual property. Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still in the realm of privacy and security. Let's talk smart home scares. Specifically, this new Ring Familiar Faces tool.
Yeah, this is a textbook example of a feature potentially clashing hard with privacy rights. Ring is rolling out familiar faces using AI facial scanning, to recognize trusted people for personalized notifications. Seems convenient. But the violation here is potentially massive. It scans faces without the non-user's consent or knowledge. It basically forces bystanders, delivery people, neighbors walking by, into a biometric database they never agreed to be in.
And the criticism is sharp, right? I saw Senator Ed Markey call the lack of opt-in for bystanders an unacceptable privacy violation. And the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, warns this could violate state biometric privacy laws. That's why it's not available in places like Illinois and Texas, which have strong laws.
Exactly. Ring kind of puts the responsibility on the customer, saying they need to comply with local laws. But critics argue, pretty persuasively, I think, that Amazon, the company actually collecting and storing this sensitive biometric data, has the ethical duty to get informed consent, especially when scanning the faces of total strangers.
Yeah, that seems like a fundamental disconnect. Okay, beyond the smart home, we also found some really concerning reports about high-level mobile espionage. There was this Landfall spyware.
Right, Landfall abused a zero-day vulnerability. That means a flaw the vendor didn't know about to hack into Samsung Galaxy phones. And it was actively targeting users for nearly a year before it was caught.
And this wasn't the only threat, right?
Yeah.
There were other malicious apps.
No, definitely not. We also saw reports about malicious Android apps, like one called WaveChat, using something called the Vajraspi RAT TUD. RAT stands for Remote Access Trojan. This code is nasty stuff. It's engineered to extract really sensitive data, think WhatsApp and Signal messages, and it can even secretly record background audio from the phone's microphone. These apps were primarily targeting users in India and Pakistan, often using social engineering tactics like honey trap romance scams to lure people into installing them.
That's terrifyingly personal and targeted. But maybe nothing quite prepared me for the Microsoft Dart discovery, the Sesame App backdoor. That sounds next level.
It really is. This is sophisticated corporate espionage. The attackers figured out how to abuse a built-in capability, the OpenAI Assistance API, something developers use legitimately. They use that API as a covert command and control channel. Essentially, they hid their malicious commands and data exfiltration right inside OpenAI's own legitimate infrastructure traffic. This allowed them to run long-term espionage operations almost completely undetected. They turned a standard cloud service feature into their own secret communication highway. It's incredibly clever and dangerous.
Wow, misusing the infrastructure itself. That's chilling. Okay, on the maybe slightly less sophisticated but still very dangerous consumer scam side, we have to issue a serious warning about these upgraded click-fix malware attacks.
Yes, this is a social engineering masterclass designed purely to trick people under pressure. The new versions of click-fix attacks now include things like automatically generated video instructions. They even detect your operating system, Windows or Mac, to give you tailored instructions for executing malicious code using terminal or command prompt. They use fake security warnings, countdown timers, anything to create immense psychological pressure to act now.
So the absolute non-negotiable red flag here, regardless of how scary or urgent the pop-up message seems, is being asked to copy and paste any code into a command line window, like terminal or command prompt. That is never part of legitimate consumer tech support, right?
Absolutely not. Never. If you see that, just stop, close the window, take a breath. That simple act of pasting and running code gives the attacker complete control, everything they need.
Okay, really important warning. Let's wrap things up then by looking at the bigger picture. The AI market dominance battle. This is really setting the stage for the next decade, isn't it? And the biggest power move seems to be Apple's decision regarding Siri.
Yeah, the deal is reportedly finalized, or very close. Apple is integrating Google Gemini into Siri for the complex AI stuff, summarizing text, planning trips, things like that. Bloomberg reported Apple might be paying Google something like $1 billion a year just for access to this ultra-powerful 1.2 trillion parameter artificial intelligence model.
$1 billion a year, just for access. What does that price tag really tell us about the current AI market?
Well, it tells us Google has pretty much locked in its dominance, at least for the next few years. It cements their AI infrastructure as foundational, even for their biggest competitor, Apple. The good news for you, the listener, is that Apple seems determined to maintain control over privacy. They plan to run the Gemini model on their own private cloud compute servers. This should keep your user data secure and separate from Google's main data collection infrastructure. It's a compromise, really, born out of necessity because Apple needed top-tier AI fast.
And Google, meanwhile, is just plugging Gemini into everything else they own. Google Maps is getting Gemini-powered conversational navigation now.
Yeah, and this actually sounds genuinely useful. Instead of just basic directions, you can ask complex multi-step questions like, is there a budget-friendly restaurant with good vegan options along my route? It's also moving away from generic directions, turn left in 500 feet, towards using real-world landmarks, turn right just after the Thai Siam restaurant. That's much more how humans actually navigate, right? Makes it more intuitive.
Definitely. And social media isn't immune either. Snapchat just signed a huge $400 million deal to put Perplexity AI search right into the app in a really prominent default spot. That's alongside their existing My AI bot. They're leveraging that massive 900 million plus user base. It's just AI is embedding everywhere, incredibly fast.
So fast, in fact, that Collins Dictionary has already named vibe coding its word of 2025.
Vibe coding. That feels like the perfect descriptor for this whole AI era. Okay, so to try and summarize this landscape we've covered, we're witnessing this hyper-integration of AI into basically every platform, every device you touch. It's driving these incredible trillion-dollar market deals, but at the same time, it's fueling these really intense foundational battles over ownership of data, of creativity, even of our personal biometrics with things like Ring.
And this incredibly rapid, almost audacious pace of integration brings up a truly provocative final thought, I think. Consider Elon Musk. He just had his staggering $1 trillion pay package approved by Tesla shareholders. But that package hinges on hitting these massive near-future milestones, including selling 1 million humanoid robots and putting 1 million robotaxis into service. Huge AI-dependent goals.
Those are absolutely enormous promises built almost entirely on AI capabilities that are still largely unproven in the real world at that scale.
Exactly. And when you contrast that with the actual, sometimes slow pace of high-tech development we see elsewhere, like the brand new ROG Xbox Ally X gaming handheld, still struggling with basic software bugs and interface lag right out of the box. Or look at Rockstar Games delaying Grand Theft Auto 6 yet again, pushing it to November 2026 specifically for more polish. You have to ask, right? Are these tech giants, especially in the AI space, biting off way more than consumers can possibly chew right now? Are they promising this trillion-dollar future built on capabilities that are maybe just too premature, too unproven? Or is that future really just one clever algorithm update away? That's definitely something for you to mull over, maybe while you're charging up those new, very comfortable headphones.
Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.